The metallic clatter of gunfire echoed across the frozen Ardennes forest as Corporal James Henderson pressed his back against a shattered oak tree. Snow dusted his helmet, while tracers streaked overhead like angry fireflies in the December twilight. In his gloved hands, he gripped a weapon that German soldiers had come to fear more than artillery barrages or tank charges. The Browning automatic rifle, known simply as the Bar, had become the soundtrack of American infantry assault. Its distinctive cyclic rhythm cut through battlefield chaos with a voice that spoke one language: overwhelming firepower at the squad level. What Henderson and thousands like men like him discovered in the hedgerows of Normandy and the rubble of German cities was that this 20-pound piece of steel and walnut represented something the Wehrmacht had never adequately prepared for. It was not merely a gun. It was a philosophy of warfare made manifest, a tactical revolution that would rewrite how modern armies thought about the basic building block of combat: the rifle squad. German doctrine had evolved through decades of military tradition stretching back to Frederick the Great. Prussian efficiency valued discipline, unit cohesion, and the rifle as the infantryman's primary tool. Machine guns existed as crew-served weapons positioned at company or battalion level, heavy instruments requiring multiple soldiers to transport and operate. The standard German infantry squad in 1944 centered around the MG-42 machine gun, an exceptional weapon by any measure, but one that required a gunner, an assistant gunner, and several ammunition carriers to function effectively. The rest of the squad existed primarily to support and protect this single automatic weapon. When that gun was knocked out or ran dry, the squad's firepower collapsed dramatically. German soldiers carried bolt-action Mauser rifles or semi-automatic Gewehr 43s, excellent weapons for aimed fire, but incapable of sustained automatic fire in the hands of individual riflemen. This centralized firepower doctrine had served Germany well in earlier campaigns, where maneuver and combined arms could compensate for individual squad limitations. American military theorists had watched the Great War's lessons unfold differently. They observed how machine gun nests could pin entire companies, how individual soldiers needed more than single-shot rifles to survive the chaos of modern combat. John Moses Browning, the legendary firearms designer, had created his automatic rifle design during World War I, though it arrived too late to see significant action in that conflict. By the 1920s and 30s, the United States Army had adopted the BAR as a standard infantry weapon, assigning 1 or 2 to each rifle squad. This decision reflected a fundamentally different approach to small unit tactics. Rather than concentrating automatic fire in a few heavy weapons, American doctrine distributed it throughout the infantry company. Every squad possessed its own organic automatic fire capability, dramatically altering the tactical mathematics of ground combat. The philosophy represented American industrial thinking applied to warfare, mass production creating abundance that could be distributed widely rather than concentrated narrowly. The BAR itself represented a mechanical marvel of its era. Weighing 19.5 pounds fully loaded, it fired the powerful 30-06 Springfield cartridge, the same round used in the standard M1 Garand rifle. Its 20-round detachable magazine could be emptied in under 3 seconds on full automatic, though experienced gunners learned to fire in short, controlled bursts to maintain accuracy and conserve ammunition. The weapon featured a bipod for stabilization, though many soldiers removed it to save weight during long marches through European countryside. 2 fire modes allowed the operator to switch between slow automatic fire at 300 to 450 rounds per minute or fast automatic fire at 500 to 650 rounds per minute. This versatility meant the BAR could suppress enemy positions with sustained fire or deliver devastating volume during assault. The weapon's effective range extended to 600 yards, though most combat occurred at much closer distances where its suppressive effect proved most valuable. Gas-operated and air-cooled, it required no water jacket or complex cooling system, making it genuinely portable for individual soldiers. German soldiers first encountered the bar in significant numbers during the Sicily campaign of 1943, then in overwhelming force after the Normandy invasion. The sound disturbed them immediately. Unlike the ripping buzz of their own MG-42, which fired at over 1,200 rounds per minute in short, controlled bursts, the bar delivered a slower, heavier rhythm. Each round was a sledgehammer blow rather than a rapier thrust. The psychological impact of that deliberate thudding proved substantial. German defenders in fortified positions found themselves pinned by a weapon that seemed to fire from everywhere at once. American squads advancing across Norman hedgerows would place their bar gunner in a flanking position, his automatic fire drawing German attention while riflemen maneuvered. The tactical flexibility this provided was something German doctrine struggled to counter effectively. Their MG-42 gunners, excellent as they were, found themselves trying to suppress multiple automatic weapons rather than facing squads of bolt-action rifles. The fundamental assumption underlying German defensive tactics that automatic fire would come from predictable heavy weapon positions collapsed when facing an enemy whose automatic weapons moved with individual soldiers. The industrial capacity behind American BAR deployment magnified its battlefield impact exponentially. By mid-1944, the United States had produced over 250,000 Browning automatic rifles. Every American infantry division counted hundreds of these weapons among its organic firepower. German intelligence officers analyzing captured equipment reports must have felt their strategic situation crystallize with cold clarity. The Wehrmacht faced not just superior numbers, but a qualitative shift in how infantry combat functioned. Where German squads centered around one automatic weapon supported by riflemen, American squads featured the Garand, a semi-automatic rifle giving each soldier significantly higher firepower than a bolt-action, plus the BAR's full automatic capability. The mathematical advantage in a squad-versus-squad engagement favored American forces substantially. 8 men with Garands and 1 with a bar could deliver more sustained fire than 9 Germans with Mausers supporting ein MG-42. This disparity became especially pronounced in meeting engagements, where whoever established fire superiority first typically controlled the battle's outcome. Combat reports from the Italian and Western European theaters consistently highlighted the BAR's effectiveness across diverse terrain and tactical situations. In the rubble-choked streets of German cities during the final months of war, American infantry found the weapon ideal for urban combat. Its lighter weight compared to true machine guns allowed gunners to move quickly between cover, climbing through bombed buildings and navigating debris-filled streets with relative ease. The bar's ability to fire from the shoulder without a tripod or heavy mount proved crucial in close quarters where targets appeared suddenly and engagements lasted seconds rather than minutes. German defenders attempting to hold intersections or building corners found themselves outgunned by squads that could bring automatic fire to bear immediately from multiple positions. The psychological weight of knowing every American squad possessed such capability eroded German defensive confidence progressively. Soldiers who might hold against rifle fire alone understood that challenging an advancing American unit meant facing sustained automatic fire that could shred wooden barricades and suppress movement within stone buildings. This recognition altered the calculus of defensive stands, making German units more willing to withdraw rather than fight to the last man. The weapon's reliability under adverse conditions added another critical dimension to its battlefield dominance. Browning had designed the BAR with loose tolerances that allowed it to function even when clogged with mud, sand, or ice. Veterans from the Battle of the Bulge recalled firing their weapons in sub-zero temperatures after they had been buried in slow, the mechanism continuing to cycle when more finicky firearms would have jammed solid. This mechanical trustworthiness meant that in the chaos of combat, when equipment failures could mean death, the BAR simply kept working. German soldiers might have respected the precision engineering of their own weapons, but reliability under impossible conditions became a form of tactical superiority that transcended theoretical performance. An American squad advancing through a winter forest knew their automatic rifle would fire when needed. That confidence translated into more aggressive tactics and willingness to press attacks even when facing prepared defenses. The knowledge that your primary suppressive weapon would not fail at the critical moment enabled bolder maneuvers and tighter coordination between fire and movement. Training doctrine further amplified the BAR's effectiveness through systematic integration into squad tactics. American infantry schools taught specific techniques built around the weapon's capabilities. Fire and movement, the fundamental assault technique, relied on the BAR gunner providing suppressive fire while riflemen advanced. Then those riflemen returning the favor as the gunner moved forward. German defensive positions constructed to handle bolt-action rifles and occasional machine gun fire found themselves overwhelmed by this leapfrogging advance. The automatic fire never ceased. As soon as one position stopped shooting to displace, another opened up, maintaining constant pressure that gave defenders no opportunity to return effective fire or reposition. This tactical symphony, practiced until it became muscle memory, transformed average American soldiers into an offensive force that German veterans found difficult to stop even when occupying superior terrain. The coordination required was not simple, demanding discipline and communication under fire. But American training produced soldiers capable of executing these techniques under combat stress. The weight of American logistics ensured that BAR ammunition flowed forward in quantities that must have seemed impossible to Wehrmacht soldiers struggling with their own supply shortages. Each BAR gunner typically carried 12 magazines, or 240 rounds, while squad members carried additional magazines in their packs and pouches. Ammunition resupply occurred regularly, with jeeps and trucks bringing forward thousands of rounds to refill depleted stocks after even minor engagements. German defenders watching American attacks understood that the enemy's automatic weapons would not fall silent due to ammunition shortage. This logistical reality meant American squads could and would expend ammunition freely to suppress German positions. The doctrinal phrase reconnaissance by fire took on new meaning when every squad possessed a weapon capable of hosing down suspected enemy positions with dozens of rounds in seconds. German soldiers trying to remain concealed found that American units would simply saturate potential hiding spots with automatic fire, a luxury the ammunition-starved Wehrmacht could rarely afford. This freedom to employ firepower liberally reflected not just tactical preference, but the vast industrial and logistical infrastructure supporting American operations. The psychological dimension of facing BAR-equipped squads manifested in numerous German after-action reports and prisoner interrogations conducted throughout the war. Captured soldiers described the sound as uniquely intimidating, a steady hammering that seemed to come from all directions during American assaults. Unlike artillery, which announced itself with distant thunder before impact, or tank guns that fired single devastating rounds, the BAR represented personal, immediate threat. It was the sound of American infantry who could fight like machine gunners while moving like riflemen. This psychological weight accumulated over weeks of continuous combat. German units that might have held positions stubbornly against rifle-armed opponents found themselves more willing to withdraw or surrender when facing squads they knew carried automatic weapons at the section level. The cumulative stress of being outgunned at the most basic tactical unit eroded combat effectiveness in ways that pure casualty statistics could not measure. Morale deteriorated not from single catastrophic defeats, but from the grinding realization that every engagement would be fought at a firepower disadvantage. Tactical flexibility represented another advantage German forces struggled to match throughout the European campaign. A BAR gunner could operate independently in ways a machine gun team could not. When American patrols moved through forests or conducted night operations, the automatic rifle provided organic firepower without requiring a 3- or 4-man crew to carry and operate it. This meant American small unit operations possessed significantly more combat power than equivalent German patrols. In defensive situations, a single BAR covering a roadblock or bridge approach could delay enemy movement until reinforcements arrived. German companies trying to infiltrate American lines discovered that even isolated squads possessed the firepower to hold temporarily against significantly larger forces. The weapon's portability meant it appeared wherever American infantry went, from mountain passes in Italy to riverbanks along the Rhine, its distinctive sound announcing that the enemy possessed more than bolt-action rifles. This ubiquity forced German tactical planning to account for automatic weapons in every American squad, complicating assault plans and defensive arrangements alike. The evolution of German tactical responses revealed both respect for the BAR and fundamental inability to effectively counter it. Captured training documents from late 1944 showed Wehrmacht instructors emphasizing the need to identify and eliminate American automatic riflemen immediately. Snipers received priority orders to target soldiers carrying the distinctive long weapon with its bipod and magazine. German doctrine began emphasizing greater dispersion to reduce casualties from automatic fire and faster withdrawal when suppressed, rather than attempting to return fire against superior volume. These adaptations acknowledged reality, but could not fundamentally alter the tactical mathematics. As long as every American squad possessed automatic fire capability, German units operating under ammunition restrictions and armed primarily with bolt-action rifles faced an inherent disadvantage in firefights. The doctrinal shift toward MG42-centric squads had created a vulnerability that American firepower philosophy exploited ruthlessly. German attempts to counter this by increasing machine gun allocation founded on production limitations and transportation difficulties in the face of Allied air superiority. Individual German veterans who survived encounters with BAR-equipped Americans carried memories of a specific tactical helplessness that haunted them long after war's end. In memoirs and oral histories recorded decades after the conflict, former Wehrmacht soldiers described firefights where American squads seemed to possess unlimited ammunition and firepower. The steady rhythm of the Browning automatic rifle punctuated their recollections like a metronome of defeat. They spoke of how difficult it became to return fire when automatic weapons covered every movement, how advancing against American positions meant crossing ground swept by overlapping fields of fire that never paused. This was not simply about losing battles or being outnumbered. It was about facing an enemy whose basic infantry unit possessed capabilities that required company-level assets to match. The psychological impact of that realization that your best troops with excellent training were simply outgunned at the squad level contributed to the gradual erosion of German combat effectiveness during the war's final year. Veterans recalled feeling that no amount of tactical skill or defensive preparation could overcome such fundamental material superiority. The production numbers tell their own story of industrial dominance that Germany could never hope to match. While Germany struggled to manufacture sufficient small arms to replace combat losses, American factories churned out Browning automatic rifles in quantities that ensured every squad could maintain its authorized complement even under the heaviest casualties. The Springfield Armory, Winchester, and other contractors produced BARs alongside millions of Garand rifles, creating an armed force whose firepower at the individual and squad level eclipsed anything the Wehrmacht could field. By late 1944, captured German officers analyzing American tactics in prisoner-of-war camps must have recognized that their own industrial base could never match such production. Even had Germany possessed designs equivalent to the BAR, the manufacturing capacity and raw materials simply did not exist to equip every German squad with automatic rifles. The strategic implications were crushing. Victory required not just tactical brilliance or operational success, but the industrial means to arm infantry with modern weapons. Germany possessed one, but lacked the other. The disparity in small arms production reflected broader economic realities that predetermined the war's outcome regardless of battlefield tactical decisions. American tactical doctrine evolved continuously to maximize BAR effectiveness based on combat experience. By 1945, combat-tested techniques had spread throughout infantry units through formal training and informal knowledge transfer. The weapon became the focal point of small unit tactics, with squad leaders positioning their automatic riflemen to best effect before initiating engagements. In defensive situations, the bar covered the most likely avenue of approach. During assaults, it provided suppressive fire, allowing riflemen to close with the enemy. Urban combat saw bar gunners assigned to cover stairwells and corridors, where their sustained fire could clear rooms or suppress defenders during building clearing operations. This doctrinal flexibility meant the weapon's value extended beyond pure firepower. It became a tactical tool that competent leaders could employ creatively to solve battlefield problems. German defenders, even when aware of these tactics, lacked equivalent capabilities to counter them. Their squad automatic weapon remained the crew-served machine gun, excellent in its role but inflexible compared to the portable, individually operated bar. The asymmetry in tactical options available to comparable units grew more pronounced as American soldiers gained combat experience. The weapon's influence extended beyond direct combat into morale and unit cohesion in ways that shaped battlefield performance. American soldiers took pride in their superior firepower, viewing the BAR as tangible evidence of their army's technological and industrial superiority. This confidence translated into more aggressive tactics and willingness to engage German forces even when outnumbered or facing prepared defenses. The psychological advantage of knowing your squad possessed automatic fire capability while the enemy relied primarily on bolt-action rifles created a combat multiplier that transcended simple ammunition counts or casualty ratios. German morale, conversely, suffered from the recognition that American infantry possessed better individual and squad-level weapons. The cumulative effect of facing automatic weapons in every engagement, of hearing that distinctive hammering sound in every firefight, contributed to the sense that material superiority would inevitably prevail, regardless of German tactical skill or defensive preparation. This morale differential became increasingly significant as the war progressed and German strategic situation deteriorated, with each defeat reinforcing the perception of American invincibility. Technical innovations during the war years refined the bar's effectiveness through incremental improvements and field modifications. Improved carrying slings made the heavy weapon more manageable during long marches through varied European terrain. Modified magazines and maintenance procedures reduced jamming and increased reliability. Combat veterans shared techniques for employing the weapon effectively, knowledge that spread through training camps and replacement depots as soldiers rotated between combat and rear areas. By 1945, newly arrived American soldiers inherited accumulated tactical wisdom about maximizing their automatic rifles' battlefield impact. This institutional learning represented another advantage German forces struggled to match. While Wehrmacht training programs deteriorated under constant pressure and manpower shortages, American infantry schools continued refining techniques and producing soldiers skilled in modern infantry tactics built around automatic weapons at the squad level. The knowledge gap added to the material superiority, creating compounding advantages that eroded German defensive capabilities throughout the war's final campaigns in both Eastern and Western theaters. The logistical tale supporting BAR operations demonstrated American industrial might in miniature, a microcosm of the larger material superiority. Every automatic rifle required spare parts, cleaning supplies, and most importantly, massive quantities of ammunition. American supply chains delivered these necessities forward through elaborate distribution networks that German forces could not disrupt effectively despite efforts at interdiction. Thousands of trucks carried crates of .30-06 ammunition from ports to forward supply dumps. Then, smaller vehicles and eventually soldiers hand-carried magazines to the firing line. This unbroken supply chain meant American squads never needed to ration automatic fire to conserve scarce ammunition. The freedom to employ the BAR liberally to suppress suspected positions and conduct reconnaissance by fire reflected not just tactical doctrine but logistical capability. German defenders recognized this abundance as evidence of overwhelming material superiority, another psychological blow to units already stretched thin and short of basic supplies. The contrast between American logistical abundance and German scarcity became more pronounced with each passing month as Allied bombing devastated German transportation infrastructure. Post-war analysis by military historians and weapons experts has consistently rated the BAR among the war's most influential infantry weapons based on tactical impact and doctrinal legacy. Its impact extended beyond kill counts or specific battlefield victories to fundamentally alter how armies organized and employed infantry forces. The concept of distributed automatic fire at squad level, proven effective by American forces in World War II, became standard doctrine for NATO armies during the Cold War and remains foundational to modern infantry organization worldwide. Later weapons, like the M249 squad automatic weapon and various light machine guns, trace their tactical lineage directly to lessons learned with the Browning automatic rifle. The post-war military development, ironically, embraced similar concepts, with the Bundeswehr adopting squad automatic weapons as standard equipment. The tactical revolution the Wehrmacht faced in hedgerows and city streets became doctrine they would later adopt themselves, acknowledgement that American firepower philosophy had proven superior to their own MG-centric approach. This doctrinal shift represented vindication of American tactical thinking that had seemed wasteful and inefficient to German observers before the war. The human cost of this tactical superiority manifested in German casualty figures and unit cohesion degradation throughout the European campaign. Squads pinned by automatic fire suffered higher casualties than those engaging rifle-armed opponents. The inability to maneuver effectively under sustained suppression meant German defenders often remained in exposed positions longer, taking losses they might have avoided against less well-armed attackers. Medical officers treating wounded soldiers noted that automatic weapons produced higher percentages of casualties per engagement compared to single-shot rifles. The cumulative effect over months of continuous combat devastated German rifle companies, with experienced veterans killed or wounded at rates that replacement training could not match. By early 1945, many Wehrmacht infantry units consisted primarily of poorly trained teenagers and older men pressed into service, soldiers who lacked both the skill and equipment to effectively counter American firepower advantages. This degradation of unit quality created a vicious cycle where less capable defenders suffered even higher casualties when facing automatic weapons they could not suppress or neutralize. The BR's legacy in American military culture endures decades after its frontline retirement from service. Veterans organizations and military historians preserve examples of the weapon, recognizing its historical significance. Films and documentaries depicting World War II infantry combat invariably feature the distinctive automatic rifle, its presence serving as visual shorthand for American ground forces. This cultural memory reflects the weapon's genuine battlefield importance. Unlike some equipment that achieved fame beyond its practical impact, the Browning automatic rifle earned its reputation through measurable tactical superiority and thousands of small unit engagements where its presence determined outcomes. German soldiers who survived the war carried memories of that heavy, measured hammer blow sound, recognition that they had faced not merely superior numbers, but superior armament at the most fundamental level of warfare, the individual infantryman and his squad. These memories shaped post-war German military thinking and contributed to the development of concepts like the general-purpose machine gun that combined portability with sustained firepower. Technical specifications alone never capture a weapon's true battlefield value or its impact on tactical evolution. The BAR succeeded not because of any single superior characteristic, but through the combination of adequate power, acceptable reliability, and, most critically, tactical doctrine that maximized its strengths while minimizing weaknesses. American infantry training emphasized teamwork built around the automatic rifle, creating combat units greater than the sum of their individual parts. This integration of weapon and doctrine, supported by industrial production capacity and logistical sustainability, produced battlefield effects that German forces found impossible to counter systematically. Individuelle units might win specific engagements durch superior tactics or terrain advantages, but the cumulative weight of facing automatic weapons in every firefight, every patrol, every defensive position gradually eroded Wehrmacht combat effectiveness throughout the war's final 18 months. The BAR represented nicht nur eine Waffe, sondern eine komplette System, integrierend Design, Produktion, Logistik, Training und Taktiks in ein kohärentes Whole, das multiplizierte es effektive exponentiell. Das Storie von warum Germane Forcen keinen Stopp an den amerikanischen BAR ringen konnten, allnah transzendiert technische Spezifikationen oder taktikalische Details, um zu tiefere Truths über moderne Wolke zu offenbaren. Es repräsentiert den Kollision zwischen zwei Militärphilosophien, zwei Industriekapazitäten, zwei Approaches zur Organisieren und Equipping Ground Forces. COSID doctrine emphasizing crew-served weapons and rifle-armed infantry had proven effective in earlier campaigns, but revealed critical vulnerabilities when facing an opponent who distributed automatic fire throughout his infantry units. American industrial capacity to produce hundreds of thousands of automatic rifles and billions of rounds of ammunition created material advantages that German tactical skill could not overcome. The BAR became symbol and substance of this superiority, its distinctive voice echoing across European battlefields as herald of German defeat. When Corporal Henderson pressed that oak tree in the Ardennes, the weapon in his hands represented more than 20 pounds of steel and wood. It embodied an entire system of warfare, industrial, tactical, logistical, and doctrinal, that the Wehrmacht had no effective answer for despite their operational excellence and tactical proficiency. Understanding why they could not stop it requires recognizing that they faced not just a gun, but a revolution in infantry combat, one that would reshape military thinking for generations to come and establish principles that remain relevant in contemporary ground warfare.